How's it going, everyone? It's me, Vivi. I hope you're all having a fantastic day, and we are back to some Ratchet & Clank. So this video is going to be pretty interesting, I'd say. It has to do with the writer of the Future Saga and PS4 game, TJ Fixman. Yesterday, he made a couple of very interesting tweets, actually, and one of them includes portion of the original script of the movie. I retweeted what he posted, and this is the reply I get. Oh boy, here comes another video. TJ Fixman, you are one funny individual, and guess what? You are absolutely right. And then Tabriz wrote, "This is VTN Vivi we are talking to. Obviously we'll get a new video from him going over this." Guys, thank you so much. Yes, you are correct. I think eventually, with time, this channel is gonna reach a point where people are gonna start saying, "And before VTN Vivi makes a video about this." Anyways, so how did this all start on Twitter? Sam Riegel and Blair Herter, which was pretty much a donation to fight against children cancer. What they're doing is absolutely incredible. Their current goal is $75,000. By reaching 20k, TJ Fixman said, "I'm gonna post a portion of the original script of the movie." Now this battle against children's cancer, they've reached $45,000. And that is just absolutely fantastic. I will leave the link of their video in the description below if you're curious about it. So, here's this tweet by Fixman. He said, "I'll post a cutscene, not an actual animated cutscene obviously, but part of a script." He did share some of the original script back in October 2017. I did make a video on that as well. If you want to check it out, the link will be in the description as well. The question many bring up when it comes to the OG script: would the movie have been better if Fixman were in charge 100%? Well, you know, most of the script. Long story short, he made a draft. For long-term Ratchet & Clank fans, maybe you knew about this, but for newcomers, perhaps you weren't aware of this. Anyway, he was working on his version, and then the script went to Kevin Munro, director and writer, and then Gary Swallow. They worked together. Changes were made, obviously. Fixman, about the whole situation, he said he wanted all credit to go towards those two, not him. I did make a video on this back in May 2016. Now in this portion of the script he just posted, it's more about Drek and his assistant Zed. He posted 4 pages. There's a scene with 2 rows of dominoes. That wasn't in the movie. There is some lines with Victor. Some lines are very familiar. As Fixman pointed out, a version of this script was indeed in the movie. I don't recall hearing the words "kill" by Drek, nor brother-in-law. Drek destroyed planets. He was ruthless, of course, heartless. Yeah, I get the whole thing, he was more comedic and stuff like that. I will perhaps talk about that a little in a future video. But yes, with the mention of wanting to kill his brother-in-law, torture him first, I mean, that's another layer of being a complete monster. He uses the word destroy in the movie. That I remember. Because kill apparently ain't too kid-friendly these days. I just don't remember hearing the word kill even once in the movie. If I'm wrong, mention it in the comments. Now quickly, what would I say about these extra scenes between Drek and Zed? I don't know how many scenes Fixman had planned for Ratchet & Clank alone. Come on, please tell me I'm not the only one who agrees that the movie didn't feel like Ratchet & Clank. It was more about Quark and Ratchet. I think that was the biggest problem with the film. So as I just said, I don't know how many scenes he had planned, so I would say, instead of having more scenes with Drek and Zed, although this is a draft, I know, I would have preferred more scenes with Ratchet & Clank alone, but I'm not too sure to what extent he was planning to put those two on screen, but you know. Just watching the movie, the final version, the final product, you can already tell the relationship between Zed and Drek. So the amount of screen time we had with those two, I'd say it was enough. As for the extra scenes, if they were to choose, I would say go with Ratchet & Clank, of course. If I had something to say about this is it. Next, a question was asked about if Fixman has scripts to like the other games he wrote. Well, pretty much all the games after the PS2 saga. Yep, I have the scripts to all the Ratchet games, and the treatments for next 2 Ratchet movies, which sadly won't ever see the light of day, but it's for the best. If there is another Ratchet game, the writer deserves a bit of freedom so they can execute their own vision. Okay, where do I start with this tweet? I'm not surprised he has the script to, you know, the future games. He wrote it, of course. Okay, maybe his dog could have eaten it, but no, he hasn't. I'm not surprised. Apparently he had thought of 2 movies already, just like basic ideas, I'd say. Not official scripts, nothing like that. No final versions, yada yada yada. We can all agree another movie is not gonna happen, but let's imagine if we were to get more movies, 2, as he pointed out. I'd be scared, especially if Fixman weren't involved in the writing process. My number 1 fear would be, more movies, alright, but they would go in a more light-hearted direction, moving away from the old feel of the games we know and love. And then you wonder, oh no, we're getting more movies which are more kid-friendly. Does that mean we're gonna get games which fit in that category at this point? That's the thing with the PS4 game. I really hope they just put that one aside and just continue Post into the Nexus. A new adventure, just continue with the old universe. In this tweet, he doesn't look too sure if he'll be writing the next game. Well, there's an update to this tweet. Notice the word freedom. He said that this movie, in summary, was very exhausting. I'll read 2 other tweets he made. I will always have a place for Ratchet & Clank in my heart, so I never say never. But the movie experience was stressful, not because of Insomniac Games or Sony, they were great. But I want to go back in the same situation again. For the games, it's time for a new writer to take a crack at it. And then to another reply by a fan who thought that the movie, something was missing, he wrote, "Trust me, I know. But Insomniac Games knows how to crush the games, so if they continue, I have no idea if they will, but if. You can rest assured, whoever they get to write it will deliver something awesome." Notice how he didn't bring up Rainmaker, the studio behind the movie. I take it the whole transitioning from, him writing the script to Kevin Monroe, not to mention them both agreeing to their vision for the movie. Yeah, it's not going to be the funnest process ever. If it were the opposite, if they both had thought the same, well, it would have went pretty smoothly. Everything would have been much better. Read the blog he posted back in 2016, which pretty much explains in detail why the whole process was, stressful. I think by reading this, you can understand what he meant by that tweet. And the part where he says it's time for a new writer. 2 things about this. If obviously he can't disclose anything, seeing as how he's close to Insomniac Games, he probably knows something, but he's not going to say it. Or, he doesn't know anything yet, and he just wants for a new writer to take action, to give them a chance. If TJ Fixman leaves, I will for sure be very sad. I mean, I was a huge fan of his work for the Future Saga. And with this new writer, if they do announce him or her, I'm gonna start getting worried. I'm gonna ask questions, the obvious stuff. Have they played all the games? Are they familiar with these 2 characters? If the movie didn't turn out fantastic and we're all sitting here, what if TJ Fixman had written the whole film? Would it have been different? Anywho, last thing. Here's a tweet which I guess made me giggle like, hehe. It's very interesting, okay? These are things I probably did bring up on my channel. Well, 2, to be precise. Number 1. After reading a question from someone saying, what would you have loved to explore in the lore of Ratchet & Clank? He said, number 1, the plumber. Would you look at that? Reading this, I have a feeling it has something to do with Orvis. Orvis creating Clank. Orvis being his father. Orvis disguised as the plumber. To keep an eye on Clank's guardian, let's say, Ratchet. TJ Fixman, come on, it's obvious. Or maybe not, I don't know. Number 2, a Quark, pretty much a spin-off, let's put it that way. I was not expecting that one. Well, I guess it's a side-scrolling game he had in mind. But yeah, a Quark spin-off is actually something quite a few people have pointed out in the comments section. He's not the only one who thought of this. Fans among the community were curious, wondered what a game with Quark, a game which centers around Quark would be like. Number 3, I think I've dissected this one enough. A game, not a game, something to do with Azimuth and Kaidan. In a previous tweet, he said, I once brought up the idea of a novelization of the adventures of Kaidan and Azimuth. I would buy this thing on day 1. Now, he didn't necessarily say a comic book. A comic book would be sweet, maybe by Dark Horse one day, who knows. But this is pretty much what I'd say maybe 60% of people have said in the comments when I made another video about a prequel. They said, I think it'd be wiser to either release a book or make another game with, flashbacks to Adventures of Caden and Azimuth. But anyways guys, that's all I'm gonna have to say for this video. So as usual, do your stuff. Do you agree or disagree with stuff I said? Are you curious about the next writer? Would you want TJ Fixman to return, despite what he said on Twitter? Leave everything in the comments section below, and as always, I've been Vivi, and thank you so much for watching.